Is this the most childish way to hack motivation? Know this about how to get things done when you're not motivated. I've been a psychologist for 8 years, and this is what I know. As you might have seen on my channel, I'm currently doing a whole series of videos of strategies of getting things done when you're not motivated. This video is also about that. One of the things I see often in my clinic is that my clients believe that motivation is needed to get things done. And when they feel demotivated or low on motivation, they often panic and stress about it, since they fear that this will affect their productivity and efficiency. I've therefore worked a lot in my clinic with explaining about motivation, what's normal and what's not normal, and what causes low motivation. I have videos for you on this in my playlist and more coming up. One of the things that I let my clients know is that it's possible to get things done without being motivated. Not being motivated often consists of feeling low on energy, like your brain is a bit heavy or slow, and that often the mind is filled with thoughts of, I don't want to do it. This can make both getting started on doing a task and continuing to work on it difficult. I've found that there's quite a few efficient strategies for helping ourselves with getting started and continuing doing, in spite of low or no motivation. Today's strategy that I want to share with you is called Reward Myself. And yes, it is what you guessed, that we offer ourselves a reward for doing the thing. If you're right now thinking that I can forget about it and that this is too childish and lame, then I can tell you that you're thinking the same as most of my clients when I first present them with the idea. So why would a specialist in psychology, motivation, and behavior suggest such a simple hack? The short answer is because it works. And let me tell you how. Because I see it works in many ways, both with starting the task, continuing doing the task, and often I see it helps with motivation levels in the long run or in the future. First, what do I mean with rewards? I mean that when you have a thing on your to-do list that you don't want to do, for example, washing the kitchen floor or doing a tedious work task, then you'll likely feel that your mind is focusing on the task. You'll have thoughts of, I don't want to do it, it's hard, or it's boring, and you'll likely feel some bodily effects of this, such as fatigue, heaviness, and so on. Often people experiencing this will start to fight with themselves and try to self-motivate by adding more focus to their mind and to their thoughts on the task. I often call this self-talk, that they try to talk to themselves and try to insert thoughts like, I can do it, it's not that hard, it will be fine, and so on. The problem with this strategy is that it's not working. At least this is in my experience for the majority of clients, if not all of them. With self-talk, they find that they cannot shift their feelings of low motivation or change their thoughts, and in best case, they're just wasting their time using this strategy. Or, in worst case, they'll end up making themselves feel even worse or more demotivated by adding more attention and focus to their thoughts about the task. As a psychologist, I really dislike strategies that are not efficient, because I see how much pain and frustration it causes my clients. I therefore find it to be my job to let them be aware of what works and doesn't work, and help them start using efficient strategies. So why use the strategy Reward Myself and how to do it? When you're faced with an undesirable task, you start with choosing a reward that you'll give yourself when the task is completed. This can be many things. For example, a reward could be that you go out and sit in the sun with a coffee, that you get to watch an episode of your favorite series on Netflix, that you go for a walk, browsing your favorite store, that you go lie on the sofa, browsing your phone, and so on. Rewards don't have to be objects or stuff that cost money. It can just as well be allowing oneself to do something nice. But using objects or stuff that cost money is also okay. It can be that you allow yourself to buy something that you wanted, or the newest Starbucks drink, or something extra nice for lunch, or tea, or a gift of some sort. I know that some of my clients who were gamers used buying something in their game. I've done this from time to time as well, where I made myself do a thing by promising myself that I could then spend $2 in my fish game on my phone. But how does it work? Well, Now that you've picked your reward, that for example, you get to make yourself a coffee and sit in the sun after the task, then you'll keep this in mind. The effect of using the reward myself strategy comes in what happens in your mind. Instead of focusing on the task and trying to motivate yourself with regards to the task, you'll instead let it go. You'll admit to yourself that you don't want to do the task, that you will not be motivated, no matter how much you try and think positively about it or argue with yourself. You admit that it's something you don't want to do and accept that that's how you feel. By using the reward myself, herein lies the acceptance and validation of yourself in that. Yes, I am doing something I don't want to do, and that I will for that reason compensate myself. By accepting that it is so, then we're more likely to stop thinking so much about the task. We accept that we do it, and that it sucks, and that we've decided to do it because that we get compensated. When we have accepted something or made the decision, it makes it easier to stop thinking about it. The decision is made, so we'll stop arguing and causing more pain in our mind. By using a reward, we'll have something else to focus on or to look forward to. So using the reward myself will help us get started on a task by us letting go of the added thinking about our thoughts about the task, because we admit and accept that we don't have to think about it. We don't need intrinsic motivation because we will instead use extrinsic motivation in the form of a reward. So we skip doing what makes us stuck in our head and give ourselves another thing to focus on. Getting started on the task is easier if we say, good, I'll do this now, even though I don't want to do it, and then I'll treat myself to a coffee at my favorite spot. With the reward in mind, we can switch our focus to that. So instead of thinking about how much we don't want to do the task, we can instead think of the reward we will get after. During doing the task, when we're not motivated, we'll likely get thoughts again about that we don't want to do it, that we just want to stop, that it's too hard or boring, or we might feel heavy or tired, or that our brain is not really working. Here again, reward myself works in the way that you let yourself know that yes, I am doing something that I don't want to do, and I will for that reason compensate myself. So in short, you agree with yourself or validate yourself, which makes it so that you don't have as much of a need to keep on thinking about it. It's like discussion over. Yes, you hate it, but you agreed with yourself to do it and that you would compensate yourself after. And then you keep in mind the reward. You imagine how nice it will be when you get to sit there enjoying the sun with your coffee. By shifting focus to the reward that you're looking forward to, it's easier to not get pulled down by the demotivating thoughts and feelings. So in ultra short, admit that you don't want to do the task, but that you'll do it anyways, and decide on what reward to give yourself. Do you hear the difference between this and trying to convince yourself to want to do the task? In the last part here, I'll address some of the most common questions or fears that I hear when I talk about the reward myself, or the yes, I'm doing something I don't want to do and I'll compensate myself strategy in my clinic. It's not uncommon for me that the client has resistance or is worried that this strategy is not okay for them. Many will ask me if it's not just something we use with children. And my answer is yes. We do use it with children and pets because they have brains too. What we know about behavior and motivation is that rewards work. It might sound simple, but it's not that simple. The most simple thing would be that we did something we liked. That is behavior response coupling. You do a thing, it's nice, you do it again. Thus in the future, you're motivated to do the thing. Unless you stop liking the thing, of course, then it stops working. This is also why what might have worked when you're small will likely not work anymore. I would have been very motivated by getting a unicorn pony when I was small, but now heading for my 40s, not so much. If we need to do something that we dislike, we need to use a bit more complex system. As the behavior response for this will be do the thing that you don't like, feel bad because you don't like it, thus making us disinclined to acquiesce to that request in the future. Here we've found out that we can make use of our brain's ability to learn and remember, or what we in behavioral psychology call conditioning. We found out that we can create a condition next to the thing that we don't like, or anything in reality, a neutral thing for example, and that our behavior response will get affected by the condition. So we can add something that will affect the simple behavior response. If a kid, for example, hates getting their diaper changed, we'll likely sing to them while we're doing it, creating a condition that's more pleasant. Kids and pets need more instant or simultaneous rewards to get behaviorally modified. For us adults, we're okay to wait a little bit, sometimes at least. Instant reward or simultaneous reward, of course, also works for adults, but we do have the ability to wait for rewards and it's still having an effect. So, no, rewards are not only for children and pets. And maybe using rewards as a strategy for motivation is not totally lame. It can be very efficient for behavior, which is doing stuff. If we use a reward, or let ourselves know that we will have a reward later, it will get us more likely to get the things done or change our wanting of doing the disliked thing. So by promising myself that coffee break in the sun, the reward, will make it easier to override my feelings of not wanting to wash the kitchen floor. Thus, it's a strategy for getting myself to do things even though I'm not motivated. Another fear or worry that my clients have is that if they start using rewards, they'll always have to reward themselves to do things. They'll start doing the math on how many self-reward breaks they'll need or how much money they will have to spend in order to use this system. They really want to be able to get things done when they're not motivated, but they fear the consequences of this strategy for it. To me, their concerns make sense, because I agree that that would likely be impractical to have to use rewards all the time going forward. For them, I have two answers. One is that we can likely help them feel less down or demotivated overall by working on some of the things that are making them struggle with their mental health. Always feeling down or without motivation for even the smallest thing is likely stress caused, and this can be helped with therapy with regards to stress management. So, the frequency of needing rewards will as such be smaller in this way. But also, what is good about this behavioral conditioning or using rewards is that our brain learns from it for future use. We'll find that when we have taught the brain something, that it remembers. So, if in the beginning that I'm coupling washing my kitchen floor with expecting a nice reward afterwards, then my future situations with having to wash the floor will be consisting of less resistance or more willingness to do it. Because I've taught my brain to expect something nice in connection with this activity. As such, using reward myself will make me want to do the thing more in the future. And the more inclined we are to do a thing, the smaller reward we can get by with, or maybe no reward at all. Another question I could receive could be, but if I stop using rewards, won't that lead to behavioral extinction? My answer to this would be yes and no. In animal experiments, we see that if we stop giving a reward, then the animal will after some time stop doing the thing again. This is called behavioral extinction. But when we as humans do a thing, such as getting stuff done for our general life management, it's likely that we'll feel relief after task completion. I know that I will feel good after having washed the kitchen floor, because now it's clean and I don't have to do it again for a while. Using external rewards can be an efficient way to get ourselves over the hill and start doing. And we will then likely start creating our own rewards by the relief of completing or feeling of success of having done a thing. As such, we can stop using the external reward because we no longer need it. I think this was all we had time for. What was your takeaway from today's video? As always, feel free to take away the information you can use, if any, and leave the rest. Hopefully you found that today's topic made sense and I did not waste your time. Please subscribe or like this video so my channel can grow. Take care and see you for the next one.